going on, guys? Countdown, we're back again, and we've got Nasser as a guest.
What's going
Um,
on, everyone?
I just think we need to make our own show, Nasser. We've been going.
I thought that's what we're doing.
um, of course, guys, if you don't know, we interview comic book writers, creators, anyone from the industry. Tonight, if you can tell from the background of our wallpaper, we have a writer creator who has created a new publishing company that's freaking awesome, Ignite. And he's got a couple of new comics or a list of comics that'll be dropping for the publishing company. But the main one we got him here for is Murder Podcast. And then we're going to talk about beauty too, as well, since that's going to be picked up for a TV show as well. And we're going to be talking about that in a new story that's going to be coming. But before we do that, of course, we got to give a quick shout out to Dragons of Alamo Ranch and Nasser show. So before we do that, let's go to Dragons of Alamo Ranch. If you want to play, D&D, Warhammer, 40K, Pokemon, Magic, this is where you want to go. If you want to talk comics, this is where you want to go. Pick up, your graphic novels or sign up for a subscription. This is definitely where you want to go. And then, of course, Nasser show in November. Go ahead, Mr. Nasser.
Yeah, Comic Arts San Antonio, our fourth annual show. As you can see there on the screen, November 15th. We're going to be at the Red Oak Ballroom at the Norris Conference Center. So if you're familiar with the Alamo Draft House at Park North, the Red Oak Ballroom is right underneath the Alamo Draft House. And we've got Cully Hamner coming. We've got Mike Norton, Corin Howe, Chris Campagna, Nick Patara, Nick Robles, Pablo Villalobos. So many more guests, guys. So just go to the website that you see right there, and you can see the full guest list. And hopefully everybody comes out. It's only an admission of $10.
All right, man. That's going to be fun, dude. So are you excited for today? I'm very excited because
Yeah,
this
man.
book hooked
I
me
love
when
the
I was
beauty, especially. So I love that I can talk to Jeremy about it and find out about the new series that's coming.
sweet. All right, well, let's get the man in the room. Jeremy, welcome.
Hey fellas, how's it going?
What's going on, man?
Pretty good, sir.
Good, good.
So talk to us, man. For one, for fans who don't know, at what age did you know, hey, man, I want to get into comics? Was it elementary, middle school, high school? Where was it that you knew this is what I want to do with my life? Because a lot of us kids don't know that, at that age. Some of us in our 40s still don't know what we want. But how did you know?
For me, comics were always a part of my life. I grew up with a single mom. She worked as much as she could. I was actually just talking today about the Mighty Marvel Jumbo Fun Book, this huge phone book sized thing. I think it was like 1977, so I probably would have been 2, 3 when it came out. I'm not sure if I got it in 77 or 78, but she picked that thing up for me, from the little drugstore that she worked at, and I would always get like they had a spinner rack there, and when it was time to return the books, they'd tear the covers off,
Yeah.
and then they're supposed to throw them away. But I was a poor kid, the son of the lady helping out, and so I got to take a lot of those home. Comics were always a part of my life. So was drawing and really storytelling. One of the things with my career is I started out mostly as an artist first, and then worked my way back up into writing, and then writing and drawing at the same time. And but for me as a kid, always there wasn't really a lot of distinction for me between writing and drawing. It was just storytelling. And that's what it is, a love of storytelling.
So were you the kid that was always drawing and doodling in class?
Oh yeah. I was I was a stereotype from a very young age. Yeah.
And that's cool to hear your story, man, because mine was kind of similar. My mom was a single mom too, and she would take me to work with her. She worked the reception desk at a beauty salon, and I remember a few doors down from the salon, there was a place that had those comics with the covers torn off, and they actually sold them. I don't remember what it was, a 5 cents, 10 cents each, something like that. And my mom would just buy a bunch of them, put me under the desk at work, and be like, "Here you go."
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man, that's awesome.
No, I mean, that's the best part about this. Comics have impacted the young generation, in which we're hoping it does now to the younger generation now, and of course the older generation. And that's what, the main reason why I have this podcast is because I want people to know who the people behind the scenes are, the writers, the artists, because you guys don't get the credit that y'all deserve sometimes. Y'all get overlooked, writing for these big IPs, and y'all have stories to tell. And I feel the ones who started off as artists and converted to writers seem to do great work with that, because one, you're already knowing how the storyboard goes, how to put the words into the pages, splash pages. So you already kind of have an idea of the template of what you want to bring. And then just the storytelling in itself. But I mean, you've worked with Marvel, and stuff like that, and written for IPs for DC. How when was it that you got your actual first paying gig for the industry?
Um, it was about 22 years ago. I had done, um, I broke in at Image, which is that kind of weird thing that only could happen, 25 years ago, where
Yeah.
I had self-published a book called Paradigm, um, and we did it. I worked with a guy, and we did it, and we took that self-published book to Planet Comic Con in Kansas City,
Wow.
and we met Jim Valentino there, and I really had no expectation with it. This was a weird book. It was, weird book, black and white, strange time in comics, and I was just wanting to share it really with Jim and say, hey, thank you. I loved Guardian's work he did. I loved Shadowhawk. I loved things that he had been a part of, and I loved Image. And about a week later, out of the blue, we got an email saying, "Hey, can you do a call?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah, absolutely." And Jim was like, "So why didn't you pitch this to Image?" And we were like, "We didn't really think that anybody would want it. This is different than what all of you were doing." And he's like, "Well, you should have. How about we publish? If you want to do another cover, we republish through Image, and we'll do it for a while." So we did 12 issues of that, and then that led to me doing Battle Hymn with B. Claymore, and create your own comics. You make a little bit of money, but it was figuring
Yeah.
stuff out, getting your feet wet. So I worked for a few years, and then when after right around the time that I was doing Battle Hymn, uh, we went to Wizard World Dallas, and
Wow.
I got an offer to draw um, uh, Desperado's Banners of Gold for IDW.
Okay.
And that was the first time that I got like an actual page rate to draw
Oh
anything,
wow.
Mm.
which is good because we had just found out that we were going to have a baby, and I was like, oh, I need actual some steady income, and is that realization like I either have to start making a little bit of money drawing comics, or I have to go work at the grocery store.
Mm.
Um, that worked out, and I've been working in comics ever since. My oldest son turns 21
Oh wow.
at the new year. So yeah,
Okay.
it's been a haul, but a really good one.
So for anyone that might want to hunt down those back issues, what was Paradigm about?
I can't explain it. It was really about breaks in reality and weird
Okay.
things coming through
Oh
into
wow.
our world, and a group of people, very flawed people trying to live their lives. I feel like it was kind of the time. in college, kind of making that thing. And it was about people trying to figure out their way in a world that seems to be letting evil, dark, strange things into it.
Yeah. And you were the artist on that, or artist and writer, or?
I was the artist. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna have to look that up. Do you know if they ever collected it?
We got one collected version. And it just didn't, like, you know, we had always kind of planned on doing more. We did 12 issues of it, which is a lot. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
and even, you know, even then, a 12-issue run was a really healthy run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a black and white book that we did. And it was crazy and over the top, and like I said, very at the time.
All
But
right.
yeah, that
Have to check.
led to everything else that we did after that.
Have to check that out. And you mentioned there that you did that during college. So did you go to art school, Jeremy, or how did you go about it?
I went to Missouri Southern State. It was called Missouri Southern State College at the time. They got accredited, and now they're a university. They're here in Joplin, and it wasn't art school. It was, but they had an art department, and it was one of those kind of very of the time art departments where you could either be a graphic artist or you could be a studio artist. There wasn't like an illustration program, but I was very fortunate. The head of the department was a man named Jim Bray, and Jim really saw a lot of possibility in me and was very encouraging.
Nice.
And so, while a lot of people were pushing me to focus more on graphics, he was like, "No, you need to be drawing. You need that's where your strength is. You don't need ad awards. You need pages."
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Bray.
Well, your art is, that's one thing I was gonna bring about your art. I mean, where did you find? Because that's the thing we talked about in the last interview as well. That anybody can be an artist, and anybody can go to school for artwork, but some people. And I remember what did he say, that it was something that when you could picture it already in your mind before you draw it. Nasser, what did he say? I forgot what he had said in the last
Oh,
interview.
I don't remember. My memory's horrible, man.
But he
But what,
basically,
I guess along those lines, Jeremy, what are your influences? Who were you looking
yeah.
at when you were trying to figure out what your art style was going to be?
When I came in, um, I often say that, like, a lot of the stuff that I'm drawn to is nothing like my own work. Like
Yeah.
coming up, I was really a fan of the very, like, late '90s, early 2000s. Umberto Ramos and
Yeah.
Nice.
Joe Mad. Mike Waringo, of course, was
Yeah.
a golden god. But like, for me, it was always about telling the story and then figuring out how to elevate it. I was always fascinated by illustrators. If you look at, like, uh, the work of, like, N.C. Wyeth, from those old, like, Treasure Island illustrations, or Lydecker, Norman Rockwell. There's a lot of people that were classic painters and illustrators that did amazing things. Obviously Frazetta was somebody that I was obsessed with. I was really big into fantasy art, especially in high school. Like Larry Elmore did a ton of work for Dungeons and Dragons, especially the Dragonlance
Yeah.
work. And so I really loved all of that stuff, and kind of that went into this weird mix of stuff.
Yeah.
I really tried to be like, like, do, like, the super cool, slightly manga influenced cartoony stuff during that time, and I wanted to be those guys. So I wanted to be Mike Waringo so badly, but there's only one of that kind of talent.
Yeah.
And you always just look like a knockoff of that sort of thing. So I really tried to focus on finding how I drew things or how I wanted to draw things and what I wanted
Yeah.
it to be like. Like most artists, I'm pretty self-loathing. It's I, uh, I believe in and see the skills of others, and often plot their demise because they're so good.
Yeah. But I feel like everyone starts off trying to be someone else, right? And then
Mm.
once it gets filtered through your hand and your perspective and stuff, then that's how you get your style.
Yeah, absolutely. And it shifts and grows over time. I mean, the every project that I do, I try to pick something that I want to learn better.
Mhm.
I think about like working for DC on Batwoman. One of the most important things for me that I really wanted to focus on was hair, like getting like drawing like really luxurious hair, and
Oh, you get that with Kate with the big
yeah,
red hair, right?
yeah, you get those like beautiful waves. But it was for me. It was about hair and about fashion, like really leaning into there's especially if you look back to a lot of the like late I guess mid 80s books, where the fashion that everybody was wearing, the clothes that everybody was wearing was just terrible. It was like this nondescript box kind of thing that a lot
Hmm.
of people were wearing, and
Yeah.
you know, um, I wanted to kind of have fun with it and sort of lean into patterns and various stuff.
So speaking of self-loathing, were you coming on to Batwoman after J.H. Williams?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
Well, a little interesting story. You know, Jim had reached out to me and had said, "Hey, you know, I'm we're getting ready to do. I think it was issue 25 of Batwoman, and he's like, I'm not going to be able to draw it anymore. I'm too busy. But I'm going to continue writing it. I want you to come on and be the regular series artist." Um, and then things didn't work out. And, he ended up leaving the book, which is a tragedy. I really was excited about the stuff that we were going to get to do together,
Hmm.
but they called and they're like, "Hey, we would like for you to continue as the regular series artist." So, I was on there for a year, a little bit more, and and I called Jim and I was like, "Hey, they've offered me this. I know you're leaving. I love and respect you. Um, you know, I, and he's like, well, he's like, it would be stupid of me to tell you to leave. Like this is work, this is comics.
Yeah.
Do the job. You'll do a great job. He's like, and it was very touching. He was kind and a real, and he encouraged me and was a real steward of comics, even at a time that was I think everybody was kind of sad that he was leaving the book. So yeah, but yes, it was intimidating as hell.
Well, you did a great job from what I've seen of it.
Well,
Thank
you
you,
have
thank
found
you.
your art. I could tell you that. I mean, and the other question I was going to ask about that was, does and because the textures of artwork, colors you use, I mean, they always go with each of the covers that you do. They're not really popping the huge. It just they flow evenly, and it makes you really take in the full picture of the cover, the art. Does horror have a lot of influence on that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that I'm a horror kid through and through. The same things that created the comic fan in me in those early teenage years. I mean, I was always a fan of comics, but like the real important time where you're like, this is my soul, um, was also indelibly connected to horror. It was me watching a ton of horror movies, reading horror novels, anything I can get my hands on, and
Mhm.
I've been a super fan since. Like if it's horror, I may not have liked it. There's a lot of bad horror out there, but I will check it out every
Yeah.
time, and it's found its way the way I tell stories and the stories I tell and the things that I draw.
Do you have a favorite guilty pleasure cheesy horror? Something Leprechaun, Critters,
Oh man,
something?
there. Uh, 2 nights ago, I showed my youngest son Night of the Demons. Uh,
Okay.
Oh wow.
which is a late 80s, 88, 89 horror flick. Uh, it's ridiculous and cheesy, but I mean, but like I just I just enjoy the variety of that stuff. Like,
Hmm.
and I my co-creator on The Beauty, Jason Hurley, he will watch stuff that I will go ahead and turn off. I'm just like, oh, this is not for me. But he gets that, like, he'll get into that, like, really crazy stuff shot on VHS that didn't really make sense, whatever. Like there's Trauma, which is still a lot of fun and crazy and
Yeah.
over the top, but then
Dude,
there's like
that's
sub trauma stuff that doesn't even make sense. That you lose me there.
Well, I love how Mike Norton is just upfront with he'll watch movies that like no one else will want to watch.
Hmm. Yeah, Mike Norton. See, and like both Hurley and Mike share this. It's that like just ability to just find joy in something that's absolutely asinine, and I'm just like, I don't know. I I still want to like it like a little bit, if if
Yeah.
and look, I'm also just straight down the middle enough with this stuff. If I like it, it's probably at least somewhat decent. Like, I'm not super highbrow, I'm not super lowbrow, but I'm like your straight shot right down the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, my thing is if something's really bad, I start thinking like I could be doing something else with this time. So,
Hmm. Absolutely.
so well, speaking of horror, like it really seems like it's having another like golden age right now. There's
Yep.
as far as horror movies and horror comics and horror everything. Um, do you think horror is just something that ebbs and flows with what's going on in society, Jeremy? It's like it's a way to kind of deal with like anxiety overall that we have.
Very much so. I mean, I think, look, I think when people think about horror, it's kind of like horror is a lot like superheroes, right? Like, you think about superheroes and you're like, it's capes and tights and dudes punching each other, and then you realize
Hmm.
that there's all sorts of stories and all sorts of themes and characters and belief systems and all these things that go into them. I think people think about horror and they think about the gore. Like, that's the first thing. Like, oh, I can't do that. And you're like, I just don't think you found the subgenre of this thing that
Yeah, yeah.
there's very, very subtle things, or there's things that are just tense that still
Hmm.
fall into that kind of category. But at its heart, I think horror is commentary on the world around us. And you see in times of strife and pain and loneliness and fear, really interesting out of it. One of the earliest examples of that, of course, Night of the Living Dead.
Hmm.
Yeah.
When you start examining the way we treat each other and otherism and all these things, good stories come out of that. And so I consistently find myself talking about who I am and who the world is and things that I'm scared of in my work as I go. And I think that if you do that the right way, it connects with other people.
Hmm.
No, I agree with you on that. I mean, I'm a fan of horror. Dexter. Um, I love watching NCIS, Forensic Files. I'll go to bed watching Forensic Files because it's always interesting to find out about, oh, this person was killed by so and so, and it happened on this night or whatever, in 1979 or whatever. And when they go into details, and it's like, and you've mentioned in other interviews where it's like what people do to people, and it's like what causes someone to do that to somebody. I mean, because to me, it's not normal for one, but I could never picture myself doing something happened that they had done. But it's like in this horror base, that's where you can see the difference, like on the horror, because it's like on the killing, some of the graphics are really gory. And I think I saw one of the interviews you talked about when they talked about like Art the Clown, how he kills people. He, by that time you'd be dead by the time bleeding out and with doing the stuff they do. But that's the point of it. It's taking you away from reality. It's showing you entertainment to get you away from reality, but at the same time, it's interesting to see some of the way they kill people, and even we're kind of jumping ahead, but in this murder podcast, some of the kills are unique, and I kind of liked it, and I was kind of like, man, that's some crazy stuff. I want to know how he came up with that. And of course we won't be able to, because this is we're doing pre spoilers. But yeah, that's some of the questions I would love to, like, how you came up with that too, but that we'll get there. So with the horror leading you into this, you know, you work in the industry. When did you decide, like, hey man, I'm gonna create my own publishing company? When did you realize this is what you wanted to do?
I started out making my own things, right? Which is completely creator-owned, the first couple things that I did. Partially because I didn't know how to get into, it's not like you have a direct line to Marvel or DC. I lived in Joplin, Missouri. I live in Joplin, Missouri. It's like I'm here in the Midwest. It's not like I'm on either coast and can bop into the Marvel offices and show my portfolio. I really learned how to make things on my terms.
Wow.
When you start out working in comics, you do what you have to do to get in, and then you get that call. I was in an elevator at Wizard World Chicago, and CB Sobalski was like, "You're Jeremy Haun, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, I like that leading man thing you did. We should talk." And that led to me doing, the Civil War Captain America Iron Man.
Yeah.
Your careers are a weird thing, but like one of the things that I always found was that I knew how to do stuff on my terms, and I have this certain scrappiness, this certain, I don't know if it's a flaw or whatever it is in my system, but I will just do the thing to make sure that I can tell stories. And making comics, I'm not gonna, like, making comics is hard work. There is a cost, both financially, but also in time and energy, and your relationships with the people you love and all those things. And I was watching the industry go through a series of tough times. We do pretty well, and then COVID hit, and suddenly we got pencils down, and everyone was very, very alone. And trying to do their best, trying to connect with not their friends and their families and their audience. And I during that time, I did a project called Haunthology, but it is a Kickstarter. It was a collection of short stories, all inspired by the feelings that we had during the pandemic. It was a horror. It was just a horror. I worked on that for a year during the pandemic when we didn't have much other stuff to do, and that was just me being much fun doing that. And I knew that I wanted to try to figure out a way to put my money where my mouth is a little bit with comics. Like, the reality is everybody works so hard. And I'm not going to diminish anybody, any companies or how they do things or what they do. Everybody's trying their best again and again and again. But it's a hard industry. It's hard to calculate. There's not enough money. There's not enough time. There's not enough talent. People are doing their absolute best. And with Ignition, one of the things that we really wanted to do immediately are there's four partners. Eric Gitter, who's our CEO. He's on the the media side, you know, and he takes care of all the cool connective Hollywood stuff. Philip Sablick is our publisher, who's at Boom forever prior to that. Jamie S. Rich is our editor-in-chief. Last he was at IDW, but he's been everywhere and rocked it. You know, back in the day, Oni, then to Dark Horse. You know, worked at DC forever. But the four of us really sat down and said, like, what do we want this industry to be? Affect change in a truly positive way. You know, and not to get too dark with it, but like we were watching people get sick, we were watching people die. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we were watching people that had stories not able to tell those stories because they were, you know, it's hard, you know, it's a hard business. And we
Yeah.
were watching companies that cared not, you know, go under or have tough times. And we were just like, we think we can help a little bit. You know, I guess part of what I've always felt is that I've been incredibly fortunate to do what I do. You know, I've had a great career. I'm so thankful for that. If I can give back just a little bit to my peers and maybe lay a little groundwork in so that they can have good experiences, it's worth it.
And not to try to be negative or grill you on it, Jeremy. But we've seen a lot of publishers come and go, Aftershock and Scout and stuff like that. I mean, what is it about Ignition Press that you guys are kind of doing different to avoid the pitfalls that we've seen from some of these other publishers?
Murders. We kill a lot of people that get in our way. And
Well, that
that's
helps, right?
honestly,
Get rid of the
that
competition.
really does take care of any issues that you kind of have. Just step in front of us, you may have a little accident. No, um, you know, what makes us different, I think, we talk a lot about, and look, there are many pitfalls. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, and like you said, it's
Lots of
hard,
different
man.
things that can go wrong. Yeah, you may decide that you're going to set up a publishing company, and then within a few months of that happening, have the major distributor, uh, you know, go tits
Yeah.
up in the middle of that. Like we can't always necessarily calculate how things are going to go. But the three pitfalls that we really identified early on was that most comic companies are undercapitalized.
Okay.
Which is just, you know, it's a lot of money and it's a lot of long game thinking, right? The
Hmm.
second thing is there's not enough time, and we're even finding out now that there is not enough time. You know,
Yeah.
it's very, very easy, no matter how hard you plan and what you do, no matter what you do, you can, you know, stuff takes time, and you have to really think very, very long game with everything you do.
Yeah.
And the third thing, and this is the hard one because we all have it, but is ego.
Yeah,
A
that's
lot
the
of
hard part.
times people want to come out and they want to, look at that, you know. Um, we, Philip, our publisher, talks about he views leadership as an act of service. And from the guy in the chair, from the publishing seat down, you have him saying he views leadership as an act of service. He has an ego, I have an ego, we all have egos, but going into it and saying I am here to help everyone that I can, you know, every single member of our team needs to be listened to. We need to be able to talk about things. We need to be able to try to work together to make this better.
Yeah.
um, you know, those are three important things, and we wanted to make sure that we did that correctly. We walked into it with, you know, we're very fortunate to be financed well. You know, we still have to be cautious and realistic and run by the numbers and not be stupid. I mean, that's you look, you can have all the money in the world, but you also have to be fiscally responsible about how you handle
Yeah.
that. And we have we have a good team and a good understanding, and people know what we need to do. And then we worked on this thing. We worked on this for well over a year
Wow.
before our first book hits. Murder Podcast drops September 10th.
Can't wait.
We will be I would say 18 months into building this thing by the time that book hits. We're taking the time to do it. And we're just trying to be a little humble as we're doing as we can be.
Yeah, and the media blitz that you guys have been doing. I mean, I know you had the presentation at San Diego. You're going on a tour like nationwide. So it looks like you guys are doing this like right. You're taking it step by step and not dropping a whole bunch of stuff all at once that maybe retailers can't even all look at and figure out if they want to bring into store,
Yeah. And look, it's not easy. I mean, like, there's a reality here that, like, if you're building anything from the ground up, there's a lot to that. There's a lot of work that goes into creating something.
Yeah.
But we're really trying to be thoughtful about it. You mentioned like the marketing behind all this and the plan. So much of that is our director of marketing, Bree Sarpy. She's coming in, and I just did a series of videos, little like videos talking about the tour. And
Yeah, the little stabbing Jeremy, I love that.
yeah. That's yeah. It's all part of that little murdering me. But I think I've got like 20 different little videos coming that are going to be over the course of this tour.
Ah, okay.
And having Bree there and trusting her and Steph, our media team, to work with us and tell us like, hey, this is the way to be connective. Like you want to reach an audience, let's do this at this point, this at this point, and this at this point. And then we're going to throw these other things in there. You're not alone as a creative. We're going to work together on this, and we're going to support you.
Yeah.
It should not be as crazy transformative as it is, but it is. And I've worked for every company out there, and this is the first time that I've had this happen where I'm like, here's the crazy idea, and then have somebody come back and saying, okay, you know what, we support that, and also we're going to help you make it better by doing this, this, and this. It's been great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've heard from so many creators about how, you're pretty much on your own. Do your own marketing, figure it out, build your own social media following, do all that kind of stuff on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's awesome that you guys have that for you. So if Murder Podcast is the huge runaway hit that we're all expecting, is this going to be the MO for the next series to drop from Ignition Press? Will there be more of these tours and more of this type of media blitz, I guess?
Within reason. I mean, we really want to tailor everything to the books, to the availability of the creators. Look, I've got something wrong with me. I am willing to run and run and run ragged. Hopefully my health holds up. But the reality of it is that we want to work closely with creatives and be supportive of them and the way that they do things. We've got creators out there that we're helping build up, video podcasts. We're working with people that just want to build like a really cool newsletter experience. We have people that are very glad to also go on, tours and build stuff out that way. We want everything. It sounds silly, but saying like we want a bespoke process. Or, canned. Nothing's ever
Yeah.
just, this is the way we do this thing, and it's always going to have to be like that, because we're all people and we all have different schedules and interests and all that thing, and we want to lean into that and support that.
Yeah. And Murder Podcast is completely done, right? Like art and writing and everything.
Sorry, what was that?
Murder Podcast, the series is completely done.
It is almost done. We it's 8 issues. We started out and we were like, oh, it's going to be a tight 5, and then the reality we found some real character stuff, some stuff within it that really mattered for the connection between everybody involved, and we wanted to be able to focus on that amidst all of the stabbing and head smashing and stuff like that. And so it went from 5 issues to 8 issues. So we are now,
Nice.
I am finishing the last tiny bit of issue 6 and starting the writing on issue 7. Mike is drawing issue 5 right now, and like by the time, I guess, a week from Wednesday, so the book officially drops, I'll be working on issue 7. Mike will be well into 5, almost done with 5, and that's something that we're doing across a lot of the titles. I mean, most of the titles that we're working on, by the time that issue 1 rolls out, we'll have between 3 and 5 issues completely done.
Yeah. That's awesome to hear, especially like I'm sure for Ray, who works at a comic shop, with a lot of these, small publishers that start up, one of the things that derails them is delays, right? Maybe your series finds some traction and people are digging it, but now you've got to wait months until the next issue drops. And so,
and I think that's what kills them too, is that if they have to wait, 3 months to the next issue 2 drops, and then it kills that momentum.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff out there
issue.
that, like, I'm moving on to the next thing,
Well, and look, you're at a shop, you know how it is. Like, the reality of it is that you want to put love and care behind as many series as you can, but if you can't rely on that next issue to come out when it says it's going to come out, like, it's hard to be like, hey, love this new number 1 of this book, and then have that much time happen between them, because then you feel a little, like, well, it'll be out when it comes out. Like, that's a terrible answer to get, when you're into something.
Well, I mean, in what you're tapping into, and I feel what this company's tapping into, is the horror genre's there. Like, Nasser said, we're talking about trauma. Toxic Avenger came out years ago. We got the relaunch of the new Toxic Avenger, which was, guys, I don't know if you've watched it yet.
I have not.
Brilliant. It takes from the original, but it gives it another story behind it, but it still keeps some of the cheesiness, but not too crazy cheesiness like it was before. The acting was great. But like here in Texas, horror is huge. Here in Texas, the horror genre fan base is huge. I think there's like over 8 cons over the years, small little ones here and there that have horror stuff, throughout. And the funny thing is that you had talked about that you showed your son. So in October, which is kind of crazy, and it's funny that you bring this up, Night of the Demons reunion is happening at Retro City, September 20th and September 20th.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, you can't make this up. I mean, it's like crazy. But anyway, the horror genre's there. I mean, it's there. You just got to make it for them to come after. And that's the problem. The horror genre does not have a comic book base currently for them. They has to be bought to them, because a lot of the horror people are not into comics. But if you give them a reason to go get comics, they're going to. If they want more horror to read, I mean, you just got to give it to them.
I couldn't agree with you more. Like the reality, like we just did. I went and signed with the comic shop Revenge of at Midsummer Scream in Long Beach a few weeks ago, and it's a great horror con. It's a beautiful little show. So much horror love there. I mean, like of course, you had John Carpenter there, and you had a good group. David Dashmalshin was there, and but
Dude.
we there is a reality that we need to be more connective with the horror audience, and this actually kind of goes. Ignition believes in the idea that we're going to do a lot of horror stuff, but we're also going to have sci-fi, crime, and all these different things, right?
Yeah.
But you got to connect with those audiences as much as you're connecting with the endemic comic audience. We need to do that.
Yeah.
And being out there at Midsummer Scream, I was just really struck by there is horror fans aren't just kind of one thing. They're looking for good horror. It's movies, it's toys, it's video games. They just love horror. And you have to show them. You have to work with them and say, look, you love this thing. Trust me, you're going to love this thing. And it's just about building connection.
And we've been talking. I'm
so
sorry. Go ahead,
back,
Rick.
No. I was just going to ask, how did you find Mike? Because Mike went from working with Disney and stuff like that to come to here and draw Murder Podcast. How did you find him?
I met Mike because he was looking. He'd been doing animation forever, and about 10 years ago, somebody had said, "Hey, there's this artist that is looking for some work. Does anybody have anything?" And I was doing an anthology series called Bad Karma with Seth Peck, B. Claymore, and Alex Grecian. And the four of us were writing all the stories for this collection, and then we got different artists to do different things. And Mike and I did a 20-page single story called Chaos Agent, which we still would like to bring back at some point. But been thinking about it for a while. But we did Chaos Agent together, and when we finished up, thing that animation is often guaranteed is just stability, right? And, in comics, you're kind of looking for the next thing, and then you have to line it up, and then you may work for 6 months, but you know how this old story goes. But every year we would talk, and we, hey, how's it going? Talk between then, but every year, I would say hey, you want to come back and do comics? Do you want to do something? And every year he'd be like, yeah, but I'm working, I'm doing boards for this new series where I'm the lead on this. And I love Mike as a person and as a creative so much that I really couldn't say, that's dumb. Leave that security. And it really wasn't until we built Ignition and I could honestly say that we will put our money where our mouths are and really guarantee that he's not going to need to go hungry between gigs. We'll keep him doing something. The timing was right too. I think he was wanting to come back and do comics and really find this. I'm just lucky to have him to be able to do this with him, because the reality of it is that he's a talent that I think people are going to see on this, and his phone's going to be ringing off the hook.
That's awesome. You know, I was thinking about Jeremy.
Totally
We've been
fine.
talking a lot about Ignition Press and Murder Podcasts, but I don't think we've told people what Murder Podcast is going to be about. So, can you give us what the quick elevator pitch is on it?
So I can give you the as quick as I give any kind of quick about it.
Well, I'm going to pull up a
Uh,
photo for you right here so you can
yeah,
talk about it.
thanks. So Murder Podcast is the story of a strange, mysterious, cursed podcast that seems to pop up randomly on people's phones. You're listening to your favorite other podcast or music or whatever it is, and suddenly, blip, dead sounds, new episode available.
Mhm.
And if you click it, it takes you to that episode. And then out of nowhere, you are listening, and then you wake up later covered in the blood of everybody around you. Here we're seeing
Mm.
a loving wife that suddenly this happens to, and she does some blood splattering
Yeah.
craziness. And you come out of it, assuming that you don't get stopped along the way, and you've just brutalized, the people around you for 20 minutes or so, and it's it's
Brilliant.
it's this, it's a love letter to true crime fans, to podcast people that love horror in general. Um, I got the idea. There was a group of friends, and we were all sitting around my fire pit talking, and there's always different conversations going on. We were having drinks, and it was wonderful. And I kept hearing over here something like, and it was I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, yeah, and then they cut his head off, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, are you guys talking about a horror movie? And they're like, no, it's this true crime thing. And I'm like, oh my god, like, and you kind of hit on this earlier, right? Like, true crime is actually more brutal often and more disturbing than the most over the top horror. And I just wanted to like sort of tell a story that merged those two things in a really fun way. The group of ladies in this story are true crime podcast fanatics that kind of get thrown into the middle of their own strange mystery that takes a turn that nobody could
Okay.
expect.
So, how long had this been percolating? Had it been shopped maybe to Image or somewhere else before Ignition Press?
I had been thinking about it for about a year.
Okay.
And there was a point, um, where we were either going to do Ignition and go all in and like put our hearts and souls into it, or I think everybody involved was, gonna figure out like what the other version of a last hurrah in comics was. And so, I had been putting it together, but like, I saw Ignition happening, and I was like, oh, this is coming. We might do this. And so you kind of talk about it in general terms, but you never, like, it wasn't like a, hey, I want to do
Yeah.
this. Um, and so you know, we, I was close. I was like, maybe I should just do it in
Yeah.
Image. That would have been my other choice
Yeah.
for it, and I have so much love for Image, and I'm grateful for everybody involved: Eric Stevenson, Jim Valentino, Eric Larson, Mark Silvestri. Like, they were so supportive of all of us coming up, and I love working at Image. Um, I was actually working with Todd McFarlane on some Spawn stuff right when
Yep.
um, right when we really decided to do Ignition, and the way that those Image founders believe in comics and really what they've done for the industry. We all should be eternally grateful for that. And while we are now, Ignition is a, I guess, competitor in some ways with Image. Like, we're contemporaries. We are companies that should be supportive of one another, because the reality of it is without Image there is no Ignition. Without they fought so that we can be what we are, and now we have to do our own thing and maybe add a little bit to the larger comics mythos and stuff. But there's no mistaking that I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for Image.
And speaking of
And that's
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rick.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, speaking of Image, I see that Beauty is moving over to Ignition Press too. So how does that?
Is he always this good? He's good at segues. He's really good at them.
Well, now you threw me off. Oh yeah. So
sorry, buddy.
I was just curious, how does that work? Does Image have the rights for a while and then they revert back to you and you can publish wherever you want, or?
Yeah, you control your properties.
But for a certain period of time, it has to stay with them, or how does that work?
No, I mean, it's just for while you're publishing with them. I mean, you want to, obviously, we hadn't, we had finished the Beauty a while before. I think it's been 3 years since the last issue came out. I would have really felt differently if I was currently publishing, actively. Like there's a respectful way to handle those sorts of things. I just always try not to be a jerk when I'm doing stuff. But the reality of it is, as creative director and as a partner in Ignition, I am exclusive to Ignition. That's where my heart and soul is. I've had offers since I've been doing this, and I have to say, like, that would be really cool. I appreciate you, but I can't right now. And the taking the Beauty back from Image was just mainly about keeping as much of my stuff as I can in one place. We did 30 issues at Image that I'm incredibly proud of, and the opportunity to take that and now do more with Ignition is really exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it. Preparing for this interview, I reread the 30 issues, and
oh wow,
and just reading through it again, and then seeing all your little Easter eggs. Like, I saw you in a scene in one issue, and I could have sworn on somebody's desk there was a Batman animated series Batmobile and all kinds of stuff. So it's really cool, man. I'm glad to see that, So now that it is at Ignition, are we going to be getting a reprint of the trades or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, and I'll try to talk and look this up at the same time so that I can make sure that my dates are in fact correct, because I don't want to mess it up. But we are doing a new re-release of the series. We're going to be doing 2 volumes per new volume. So we released 6 volumes of the Beauty with all 30 issues. Now it'll be 3 volumes with roughly 200 pages. So two of those per. The first volume comes out exclusively in comic shops. We wanted to do something that was just us working with shops for local comic shop day, which is going to be September 27th. That's what I had to look up. there. Volume 1 will be coming out then.
Is that paperback or
and
hardcover?
then it's hard
Okay.
paperback. It's just it's a chunky.
Are we
pretty
going to get like a
paperback.
big, beautiful,
But
like omnibus or library edition or something?
I get asked that a lot.
I mean, you are the creative director.
Kickstarter.
I would look. I am the creative director, but I have to admit, and then maybe this goes back to my thing about ego. I try to, wield this great power with great responsibility.
As Uncle Ben would want.
Exactly. No, the thing about it is, those omnibus are expensive, man. They are a lot of money and a big ask, and
especially with shipping from overseas now, right? So,
oh my gosh, yeah. Let's
yeah.
not even get into that nightmare. But the reality is that, like, if we want to time it in the right way, and we've had a lot of fans ask for it, but you have to make sure that the interest is in fact there, so that you're not being irresponsible to the company, nor to shops. I mean, the reality of it is every time that you get with a shop and you're like, hey, guess what? Here's $100 hardcover. That shop's like, I can sell.
Yeah.
So it's you want to be responsible with it. You want to do it in the right way. I know people want them. Trust me, I want beautiful hardcovers of all of this stuff too. We just want to make sure the timing is right and the way that we handle it is both devoted to quality, but also respectful.
Yeah, I totally understand, because I mean, behind me you can see I have a bunch of those big volumes, and while they look great on the shelf, when I actually want to read that story, I'm not pulling those off the shelf, because if I'm in bed reading and I drop that on my face, that's a concussion right there.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but if you like read late at night, your wife's asleep beside you or whatever, the last thing that she wants to hear is as you close that giant tome. Or like you said, drop it on yourself, or worse, on them, and then they take you to death. That's
But it is good that it's gonna, at least the paperbacks will be in stores, because it's for anyone who doesn't know, the Beauty's been optioned by FX. So is that still on track for show?
Yeah. I have to be careful about which things I talk about, so that I'm responsible. But it is not just optioned. It is completely in production. I think all principal photography is done.
Okay.
It will be out. Originally, it had been in talks that it was going to be out this fall, like in October.
Yeah, that's what I had heard, and that's why now that we're in September, I was wondering.
Yeah. It was. I don't, and this is the part that's above my pay grade by quite a bit. I don't know, but they really went the extra mile on this and needed just a little extra time to do the series. So we're looking at Q1 of next year. So yeah, it's going to be, before summer we will be watching some
That's awesome.
beautiful people do.
That's cool. Things. Well, when we talked to Mike Norton for Revival, he talked about how him and Tim got to be on set, and there were some Easter eggs and stuff. Did you get to be on set or contribute anything?
We Hurley and I were very fortunate to be involved in it, but the reality is we were also both very busy working on the comics side of a lot of this stuff. Especially my schedule this past year, because of working with Ignition and building the company, it was not quite as I wasn't able to to bounce around as much as I would like. Also, I will say this: the beauty shot everywhere.
Oh.
Like there was stuff in Venice.
Oh, wow.
There was stuff
Wow.
like it shot all over the place. New York, LA, like all the places you would expect, and then a bunch that you don't. It's an ambitious shoot. So yeah, that became a real timing thing. You know, when we're going to be involved in other aspects
Okay.
of it and some stuff going forward. I know a
Nice.
lot of people ask the question, you know, like, you know, do you worry about it not being close enough to your vision or whatever? And my very real answer to that is I don't care. I want it to be good. I really want this to be good, and I know it's in good hands. I mean, it's Ryan Murphy. Come on,
Yeah.
it's Ryan Murphy doing something that is effectively Nip Tuck meets American
Yeah.
Horror Story. It's gonna be
Oh,
it's
dude.
gonna be good. But the thing, you know, while I want it to be good, the reality of it is that this is Ryan's
Mhm.
vision now. This is him doing his thing. Nothing, nothing can take away from the story that Hurley and I told. You know, the book stands as the
Yeah.
book. I am incredibly proud of what we've done, what we've been able to tell, and I'm excited that there's
Yeah.
other stuff. And also that other stuff, you know, like this show, guess what it means? It means that we can continue to feed our families a
Mhm.
little bit and
And make more comics.
also, you know, make more comics. We can keep making, you know, if I can just tell more
Yeah.
stories and, you know, be able to maybe occasionally buy myself a little nice bottle of whiskey to celebrate with, I'm gonna be a
Yeah.
happy man.
Yeah, totally understandable, man. I try to be the voice of reason when there's a lot of nerd rage over the adaptations. And I'm like, look, your books, your comics, your issues are still there. You want to read that? You love that? Like, go back to it, man, as many times as you want. So,
Hmm. Yeah, and look, when stuff doesn't work or when it's not what you want it to be, it's okay to be sad. It's okay, but like, you know, just like, you know, I mean, the reality of it is that the fact that anything ever makes it to the big screen or small screen is a
Mhm.
miracle. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you have hundreds and hundreds of
Yep.
hands from from studio level to finance level to production to actors to like all this stuff along the way, and all those things touch it and have thoughts and feelings and things that they want to do, and they may be having a good day or a bad day, or they may not connect with the material itself, and you still get something at the end
Yeah.
of that. It's a miracle that those things exist. Comics, you might have six
Yeah.
people that are working on that,
Yeah.
you know, and it's
That's one of the
okay.
things I love
It can be
about
as few as we
one of the
want.
things I love about comics is if you want to distill it down, it could be one person and that's it. You could take it to,
Absolutely.
Office Depot and make copies and it can be out and ready in the world. So I
Well,
love it,
and
dude.
that's the thing. What brings I'm gonna bring it back to the murder podcast. I feel this should be the next thing that we should get for the screen because the scenes. I mean, it's like I said, for me when I first read it, it was literally like I was watching, you know, the show. Like it was in my head. I was going through it, just kind of like I told you, the way I read, everybody reads comics differently, and that's, I mean, that's to themselves as well. But for me, it's just I take that picture snapshot in my face, in my head, then I just start reading. So as I'm reading in my head, I already have the picture, and I felt I was watching a TV show. I just needed that theme song behind the drama. You know what I mean? The horror song in my head.
Right.
But that's what I
Right.
felt, and that's why as soon as I read that, I was like, okay, man, who wrote this? Who did this? And I started, boom, sending messages right that day, and I'm like, this is going to be big. I'm seeing it, and that's why I reached out to you, and you responded the way you did. I was just like, I was so happy because I was like, dude, to talk to him about how the premise of this came up with. Of course, We can't talk too much because we don't want spoilers. But the question I wanted to ask, if to tell fans, to entice fans to go buy this, can you describe in 2 to 3 words why they should go get this book?
I need whiskey. Since that's 3 words. No, I'm not a man of few words. I generally ramble, so I'm going to do a short version. But I was scared as a creator to tell this story. It's ambitious. There's a lot going on. It's all of my favorite things in one place. And when I'm scared of something, that means that I need to do it.
Wow.
I have to tell this story. And we believe in it. We have put years of our lives into doing this. The company believed in it enough. Taking it back to what I said earlier about setting my ego aside for stuff. When we were talking about what was going to be the launch title, I didn't even suggest Murder Podcast should be one of the first books out. Everyone else in the company, they were like, it kind of needs to be this one. And having people that you love and respect say that about the thing that you're making. Once I got done like just sobbing like a little baby, I was incredibly grateful for that amount of belief. Really, I really hope that everybody has the same reaction that you had, Ray. We're just having fun, and it's gross, but there's real moments in there. There's so much connective stuff. If you like my horror stuff that I've done before, I really think you're gonna like this.
That's cool, man. Real quick, Jeremy, before we let you go, I just wanted to ask one thing. Ray mentioned when he was reading it that he could see it as, a show or a movie or something. As someone who's a writer and an artist, what is your script like? Are you doing storyboards for your artists, or are you describing every scene? How's it going for you?
I do full script.
Okay.
Like I do kind of more of like the classic DC script style
Oh, wow.
where there's finished panel descriptions and the full dialogue as close as I can get it to what's going to come. I don't like doing thumbnails layouts for my artists just because I want to believe in them the way that I have had others believe in
Wow.
me. I'm working with Mike. He's brilliant.
He is.
I'm working with Emma Lupacchino on The Beauty. She is another fantastic artist. I've got another thing that's in the works that I can't talk about yet, but
All right, that's when recording stops. All
right. I saw the layouts for issue 1, and I was just like I kind of had to just take a moment, and I was just like, this is so perfect.
Cool.
I am grateful to work with the people I do, and I want to give them as much information to convey what I'm thinking and feeling, but then I want to let them do their things.
Cool, man.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say good luck to you. Good luck to Ignition Press. I'm super excited to see what you guys have coming, and I can't wait to see what the next announcements are, man.
Thanks so much.
And then the other question, follow up real quick. For the young...
You guys are like Columbo. It's like dual Columbo. I love this.
We to be honest with you, we make a great team when we interview people, and I mean, actually, we're getting Luke is coming back on for a live stream to break down Revival, the series, and that's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to that. But I asked this for everybody, artists and writers, for the younger generations right now that either want to be an artist or write. what would you tell them to inspire them to become writers, artists?
I think remaining curious is kind of one of the most important things when it comes to creativity. Be curious about what's out there. Never stop taking the moments to write and draw and make things. We live in a world right now that is so based in instant gratification, right? Like you can flip open Instagram right now and see people that are perfectly beautiful and live amazing lives and get to do anything that they want to do. It's not always that easy. I worked for 10 years before I was able to finally get a real paycheck for making comics. Just be curious, do the things, make the thing. Good. My buddy Alex always says, make the thing and then sell the thing. You get so hung up on the idea of selling the thing over here that you miss the fact that you just have to make it and love making it and have fun.
Yeah, I always hear that from creators. If you want to make comics, just make comics. And last thing, Jeremy, real last thing. where can everyone find you? Keep up with new projects, you and Ignition Press, website, social media, anything like that.
Yeah, you can find me on almost all the social channels under my name, Jeremy Haun. I think I'm on Instagram and Twitter under Jer Haun, Jerhaun. You can find the kind of catch-all place for me is just jeremyhaun.com. Social media, I do that like everybody does. I put stuff out there, sneak peeks and whatnot. If you want the most like unfettered, like me showing more about where I am, my thoughts on things, the world around me, the things that I'm working really hard on, like deeper dives into the things I'm making. Check out my newsletter. It's a Substack. You can go to jeremyhaun.com and sign up for my newsletter. That's probably the easiest way to get all of it. I also do a horror travel podcast.
Yeah.
It's a horror travel video podcast at that.
Okay.
It's on YouTube. It's called Curious Haunts. It's literally an Anthony Bourdain-esque examination into the weird and wonderful around me, where I travel to everywhere from the Shining Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, to Venice, wandering around the catacombs.
And a brilliant wordplay on your name, sir. That's why you're the creative director.
See, it's you get me. You can check that out. It's on YouTube. Curious Haunts, and
to keep up with Ignition Press.
Yeah, just the best place there. Just go to ignitionpress.com. Ignition is on all the social media platforms. Again, if you want like the most like just genuine experience, check out the Ignition Press newsletter. They'll give you information, give sneak peeks on what's coming out, interviews with creators, kind of everything that you want that way. But yeah, go to ignitionpress.com, sign up for the newsletter. Go to jeremyhaun.com, sign up for my newsletter. That's more than enough of me than you ever need. So yeah.
All right, Countdown. Well, thanks again for joining us. Go follow him. Get ready.
Sign up for the newsletter and get ready for Murder Podcast #1.
He's going to be in Houston the 20th of this month. I think at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. if I'm not mistaken. Doing a store signing.
Yeah, there's a special edition store signing at Bedrock City Comics. It's like a whiskey tasting murder mystery kind of thing that we're doing.
Man, that's cool.
Event on that Saturday night, and then I will be at the. I'm gonna again check this. The East Lake, I think East Lake short shop on Saturday from like 1 to 3, or sorry, Sunday Eastlake Saturday. I'm gonna keep messing it up. Sunday from 1 to 3. I'll be just doing a standard store signing. So kind of two different kinds of events. If you're in the Houston area, come see me. We'll hang out. It'll be a good time.
I am
cool,
going
man.
to make sure I go because I want one of those nice little glasses that they're going to be giving away. Part of the drinking thing. Yeah. So
they're giving away whiskey glasses?
Yep.
It's part of the
Yeah.
package or whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
All right, guys. Well, peace. We'll see you.
Thanks, fellas.
See ya.